his friend. He's now a convicted felon. But does he belong behind bars? Prosecutors argued yes, he does, for up to 16 months. Dinesh D'Souza's lawyer asked for probation, and the judge ruled this morning. Dinesh is here live, but first, a look back at how we got here.
He produced Obama 2016.
Obama has a dream from his father, that the sins of colonialism be set right and America be downsized.
He began the film America.
Because if you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
What President Obama's really saying is that the wealth and abundance of American life are not earned. They're stolen.
And then he tried to help his friend, fellow conservative Wendy Long, get elected to the U.S. Senate, donating $10,000 of his own money, and then having two sets of friends donate another $10,000 each, reimbursing them after the fact. That's against the law, which puts a cap on personal campaign donations, and D'Souza admits he did it. Even the government admits that, quote, most violations of this type result in civil penalties, meaning fines. But D'Souza instead faced criminal charges and a prosecutor determined to put him behind bars. A 53-year-old man with no criminal history and a lifetime of academic scholarship. D'Souza contested the charge, but not the underlying facts. He argued that he acted with no corrupt intent. Even the prosecution admitted the motive was not to curry political favor. D'Souza believed he was being targeted based on his political views. He also claimed the donation caps were unconstitutional. The court would ultimately reject D'Souza's arguments, and out of legal options, D'Souza pleaded guilty. Later that night, he appeared on the Kelly File.
So we made a motion before the judge on selective prosecution, but in a ruling last week, he said, no, you can't bring that into the case. So what really happened is I was going into a trial with, in a sense,
quote, defendant pled guilty at the last possible moment before trial began, because he accepted responsibility, but because he was in fact guilty and had no defense. D'Souza is now asking for community service and probation. The government wants him behind bars, serving time he deserves, or a victim of political payback. And will justice be served by jailing the nation's best-known conservative filmmaker in the year leading up to a presidential election?
Today, Dinesh learned his fate. The judge ordered him to serve a 5-year probationary sentence with community service. Joining me now, Dinesh D'Souza, and your reaction to the sentence, Dinesh.
well, Megan, I've got a big smile on my face now, and I think I've had it for several hours. I can't wipe it off because this was really an effort to put me out of business. I mean, the government was trying to lock me up for between 10 and 16 months. And a federal judge said no.
A Bill Clinton appointee to the federal bench.
A Democratic appointee. And it, you know, for me, it's, I mean, I had a wonderful lawyer, Ben Brafman. He made an eloquent statement. I've been sustained over these past weeks by an incredible, you know, army of supporters and loyalists and friends who have just prayed for me and sustained me. But today, you know, my faith in an independent judiciary is affirmed. I mean, my own country tried to get me and put me away, and the court said no.
When I read the government's brief, they made no bones about it. They thought you should serve a minimum of 10 months, but they really wanted you to go to do the full thing, 16 months in prison, because they said you were not remorseful, that the only reason you pleaded guilty is because you had run out of options, and they likened you to corrupt people who try to curry favor with the politicians by making these donations as opposed to trying to help a friend.
Yeah, there was just an all-out attempt to put me away. And of course, at the beginning, I was suspicious of the government's motives. But eventually, they filed a sentencing brief, and they cited a bunch of cases. And they said, look, in all these cases, the guys who exceeded the campaign finance limits got prison time. But they left out a whole bunch of facts. in which these guys had done it before, or they were trying to buy legal appointments, or they had corrupt motives or kickbacks.
Or they'd been charged with other felonies at the time they were dealing with this particular felony. But let me ask you this, because the judge said, look, your argument that this was a selective prosecution is an effort at spin. I'm not sure you get it, said the judge today to you, and really did not believe this is a case of selective prosecution, but nonetheless did not throw the book at you. Your thoughts on that conclusion?
Yeah, I think that meeting the burden of proving a selective prosecution is very high, and I'm not saying I did it. I was simply, in fact, when I came on your show, I simply said that when you look around the country at other situations, there seems to be a pattern of this administration using the instruments of the law, the IRS, and so on, to go after its critics. And that's happened in a number of other cases, quite apart from mine. So I had raised the issue, and my lawyers did. The judge said, you haven't met the legal standard, and I respect that. So today I think he decided what was the just penalty that fits this offense.
Only you, Dinesh, could walk away from this kind of an experience where you admit you committed a felony, you were facing 16 months in jail, and now the whole process has restored your faith in America and the judicial system, and it's made you love the country even more. It's interesting how you view it, having been through this experience.
Well, if I was locked up, I would not have been able to make a film in the election year, 2016. Now I can do my work. I can continue to write books.
Okay.
I can continue to function.
Can you? Because you have to go live in a community confinement center in San Diego for 8 months. When do you have to go there? And what is that? Like, you have to sleep overnight in like a halfway house? Is that what it is?
I don't exactly know, but I'll tell you a good part of the sentence, and I actually thank the judge for it, is I'm going to be teaching English to new immigrants to this country. So I'll be helping with an assimilation process.
That's your community service.
That's my community service, and I'm very happy to do it.
Well, what are you going to do in a community confinement center? Can you imagine the other people who are in there? They're going to be like, isn't that the guy who made the movies?
Believe me, they're all going to be Republicans by the end of it.
Dinesh, it's great to see you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being here. Good luck. Stay in touch. Let me know your thoughts. Follow me on Twitter @Megyn Kelly and on Facebook.com/The Kelly File. And